Hello my dear students, welcome back to my channel. So this session I'll be discussing with photorespiration. In my last session I completed CAM pathway. So now we'll continue with the next topic of the chapter, photorespiration. So first I'll give you the brief introduction of photorespiration. Then next what are the pathway of photorespiration we will discuss. So if we start with photorespiration, the process of photorespiration, it was first demonstrated by Decker and Teo in tobacco, and it is inhibition of photosynthesis at higher oxygen levels, that is actually called as photorespiration, which was first studied by Warburg also. It was first observed by Warburg. That's why it is called as a Warburg effect also. What is Warburg effect? Inhibition of photosynthesis when oxygen levels increase. That is called as a Warburg effect. And this was mostly observed in C3 plants. C4 plants were not affected. It was just observed only in C3 plants. We will discuss the reasons why in C3 plants only. And this process involves 3 cell organelles: chloroplasts, peroxisomes, and mitochondria. And the enzyme Rubisco, which is involved in the Calvin cycle, acts as oxygenase if oxygen concentration is more. So Rubisco has active site for both carbon dioxide as well as oxygen, and it has greater affinity for carbon dioxide than for oxygen. So relative concentrations of both, that is carbon dioxide and oxygen, that will decide which will bind, whether carbon dioxide will bind or oxygen will bind. So depending upon the carbon dioxide and oxygen concentrations in the atmosphere, we find there is the photorespiration takes place. So under normal conditions, if we take the normally C3 plants will show photorespiration, whereas C4 plants it is absent. Now let us see what all we find in C3 plants. Considering C3 plants, let us see how photorespiration can occur and what are the features. In C3 plants, some oxygen does bind to Rubisco, hence carbon dioxide fixation is decreased. So under any conditions or all conditions, we find oxygen always will inhibit carbon dioxide fixation in C3 plants. In normal conditions, suppose there is a normal oxygen concentration, the ratio between carbon fixation and photorespiration. Under normal conditions, the ratio between carbon fixation and photorespiration is 4:1. What is this 4:1 under normal conditions? Carbon fixation, that means formation of glucose, and photorespiration is 4:1. But if the oxygen concentration increase in the atmosphere, if the oxygen concentration is more, then the ratio changes to 3:1. 3:1 if oxygen is more. Then the ratio between carbon fixation and photorespiration changes to 3:1. Otherwise, under normal conditions, the ratio remains as 4:1. That is, but in any condition, in any case, we find photorespiration in case of C3 plants. Now, here RuBP, instead of being converted to 2 moles of phosphoglyceric acid, it binds with oxygen to form another byproduct called as phosphoglycolic acid or phosphoglycolate. Phosphoglycolic acid or phosphoglycolate. So along with PGA, this another compound also is formed, that is called phosphoglycolic acid. And here there is neither synthesis of sugars nor ATP. Sugars and ATP are not synthesized. And there is a release of carbon dioxide and utilization of ATP. Instead of synthesis, there is utilization of ATP. So since there is no synthesis of ATP and NADPH, this process is considered to be a wasteful process. Now let us see in C4 plants. what happens in C4 plants? In C4 plants, photorespiration does not occur. There is no photorespiration. Why it does not occur? They have a mechanism that increases concentration of carbon dioxide at the site of enzyme. In C4 plants, in the previous session, we discussed C4 pathway. The site of the enzyme Rubisco is bundle sheath cells. In bundle sheath cells, we find Rubisco. So, at the site of this enzyme, there is increase in carbon dioxide concentration. How it increases? In C4 plants, we find in bundle sheath cells, malic acid breaks down to release carbon dioxide where Rubisco is present. So, we already discussed along with carbon dioxide, malic acid is converted into pyruvic acid, and during the conversion of malic acid to pyruvic acid, there is a release of carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide in bundle sheath cells is utilized for Calvin cycle. That's how carbon dioxide is more efficiently used in C4 plants. And here the Rubisco functions as carboxylase. In bundle sheath cells, Rubisco functions as carboxylase. And another feature of bundle sheath cells we discussed is bundle sheath cells are very compactly arranged. They do not have any intercellular spaces, and they are also impervious to gases. They do not allow gases to pass through. So oxygen cannot enter through bundle sheath cells. So since oxygen cannot enter and carbon dioxide is available for Rubisco, and Rubisco has more affinity for carbon dioxide, so it immediately binds to carbon dioxide. So in case of C4 plants, there is efficient use of carbon dioxide. That's why the photorespiration is absent in case of C4 plants. That is the reason why C3 plants, there is no two cells, only one cell is involved. Only one cell, that is mesophyll cell. So RUBP under any conditions, it binds to some oxygen also. So thus C4 plants are considered to be more efficient than C3 plants. Now let us see the actual pathway of photorespiration. Photorespiration involves three cell organelles: chloroplasts, peroxisomes and mitochondria. So this pathway I have given you very clearly, children. As you are looking into it, you have to write it down also and then learn. So I have divided into different reactions, and then we will discuss it one by one. Reaction wise we will discuss. First I'll explain what is the reaction, and then we can write it also. So first reaction, this is the first one, which is taking place in chloroplast. First reaction. Two molecules of RUBP in presence of oxygen is converted into 2-PGA plus 2 molecules of phosphoglycolic acid, phosphoglycolate or phosphoglycolic acid. This is the first step. 2 molecules of RUBP and also 2 molecules of oxygen converted into 2-PGA, phosphoglyceric acid, and 2 molecules of phosphoglycolic acid. This is the first reaction, which is called as, I have written beside the name of the reaction and the enzyme. This is called as oxygenation reaction, and the enzyme is Rubisco. So Rubisco can bind to oxygen also, and phosphoglycolic acid is formed. This phosphoglycolic acid, this is very, very important, children. I will write it here separately as points. This phosphoglycolate is considered as substrate for photorespiration. It is the substrate for photorespiration. And it is a 2-carbon compound. It is also a 2-carbon compound. Therefore, this cycle is also called C2 cycle. Photorespiration is also called as C2 cycle because this is a 2-carbon compound which is undergoing further metabolism or further reactions. It is participating in further reactions. So it is called as a substrate for photorespiration. And since it is a 2-carbon compound, it is also called C2 cycle. There is another name for photorespiration. It is also called as photosynthetic carbon oxidation. Photosynthetic carbon oxidation. Remember PCR, photosynthetic carbon reduction, is Kelvin cycle. So here there is an oxidation process. So therefore it is called as a photosynthetic carbon oxidation also. So children, these points I am writing separately. So you have to observe that and then accordingly you have to note it down. So this is about phosphoglycolate. That is the first reaction. Now let us go to the next one. Second reaction, which is also taking place in the chloroplast. Second reaction is also taking place in the chloroplast. So here now all the reactions involve starting from phosphoglycolic acid. So here 2 molecules of phosphoglycolate converted into 2 molecules of glycolic acid. 2 molecules of glycolic acid with release of inorganic phosphate, which is later converted into H3PO4. It combines with water and then forms phosphoric acid. That is called as a second step, which is also taking place in chloroplast. Now let us see what is the name of this reaction. It is called as a dephosphorylation reaction and the enzyme is called phosphatase. That is the second. So first and second are taking place in chloroplast and the product formed here is called glycolic acid. Now let us go to the third step. So this glycolic acid formed in chloroplast, now it is shifted to peroxisome. Second cell organelle is involved, that is peroxisome. Now this glycolic acid is shifted to peroxisome. Now in peroxisome, this glycolic acid is now converted into glyoxylic acid. Glycolic acid in peroxisome is now converted into glyoxylic acid. And this reaction, so glycolic acid to it requires another oxygen, that means 2 oxygen molecules, and there is a formation of hydrogen peroxide also, and glyoxylic acid is formed. So third reaction we call it as oxidation reaction and the enzyme is called glycolic acid oxidase. And here the hydrogen peroxide which is formed, it is toxic to the cell. It is poisonous, toxic or harmful to the cell. So this hydrogen peroxide will be converted into harmless compounds, that is water and oxygen. It is converted into water and oxygen. This is in presence of enzyme called catalase. It is in presence of this enzyme called catalase. That is the third reaction. Now let us continue with the fourth reaction. So third is taking place in peroxisome. So fourth also is taking place in peroxisome. So here 2 molecules of glyoxylic acid, 2 molecules of glyoxylic acid in the fourth reaction are converted to 2 molecules of glycine. So glyoxylic acid is an organic acid and glycine is an amino acid. Let us see how this reaction takes place. So I will write down this reaction separately. The fourth reaction. So here in fourth reaction we find 2 molecules of glyoxylic acid plus there are 2 molecules of glutamic acid. 2 molecules of glyoxylic, 2 molecules of glutamic acid. They are converted into 2 molecules of glycine, 2 molecules of glycine, plus along with that 2 molecules of alpha keto glutaric acid is also formed. Alpha keto glutaric acid also is formed. This reaction, here if we take glyoxylic acid is an organic acid, glutamic acid is an amino acid. So amino group from glutamic acid will be shifted to glyoxylic acid, and then it is converted into an amino acid glycine. And glutamic acid, after losing amino group, that is converted into alpha keto glutaric acid. This is what is the reaction taking place here. Now let us see what is the name of the reaction and what is the enzyme. So fourth reaction. The name of the reaction is called transamination reaction, and the enzyme is called glutamate glyoxylate transaminase. Glutamic acid, glyoxylic acid, transaminase. It is bringing about transfer of amino group between the two. So it is called as transaminase enzyme. So that is the fourth reaction which is taking place in peroxisome. Now, next, after formation of glycine, now the next cell organelle is involved, that is mitochondria. So these 2 glycine molecules are shifted to mitochondria. They are shifted to mitochondria. So here 2 glycine molecules will combine together to form another amino acid called as serine. This is in the 5th step. Another amino acid called serine in the 5th step. So in the process, what is happening? In the process, we find carbon dioxide is liberated, ammonium ion also is liberated, and there is reduction of NAD to NADH. That means glycine is losing proton, it is undergoing oxidation, and also decarboxylation, there is a removal of carbon dioxide, as well as ammonia. And this ammonia which is liberated can be used in this step also, 4th step also, for synthesis of glycine. It can combine with glyoxylic acid and it can help in synthesis of glycine. So this reaction, 5th reaction, is named as, let us see what is the name of the reaction. 5th reaction is called oxidative decarboxylation reaction. Oxidative decarboxylation reaction. In presence of enzyme glycine decarboxylase. That is the 5th step, which is taking place in mitochondria. So in mitochondria, we find only one reaction taking place, that is oxidative decarboxylation. Concentrate on cell organelles and also the type of reactions, names of reactions which are taking place, which reactions are taking place in the cell organelles. So in mitochondria, we find only oxidative decarboxylation. Now let us go to the next reaction, 6th reaction. 6th reaction, we find serine, which is formed in mitochondria, is now shifted to peroxisome. It enters into peroxisome. And here it is converted into another compound called hydroxypyruvate by losing ammonia. It loses ammonia. And then it is converted into hydroxypyruvate. This ammonia also again can be utilized here for synthesis of glycine. The ammonia which is released from serine can be used for synthesis of glycine. So let us see 6th reaction in detail, how it is taking place. So in the 6th reaction, we find in the 6th reaction. So what is it in the 6th reaction? Serine. Serine will combine with alpha keto glutaric acid. Serine will combine with alpha keto glutaric acid and it will be converted to The compound formed is called hydroxypyruvate or pyruvic acid. Hydroxypyruvate or pyruvic acid, and it forms glutamic acid also. Glutamic acid also. So here serine is an amino acid. Alpha ketoglutaric acid is organic acid. Serine is losing its ammonia and then it is converted to hydroxypyruvate after losing its ammonia. This ammonia is accepted by alpha ketoglutaric acid, which is converted into another amino acid called as glutamic acid. Just like we find this in the previous fourth reaction also. If you observe fourth reaction also, we find the same. So this is also a transamination reaction. Or since the serine is losing ammonia, sixth reaction can also be named as deamination reaction, and the enzyme is called deaminase. That is the sixth reaction. Now let us see the next. So 6 is taking place in peroxisome. Now let us see the next one. Seventh reaction. Hydroxypyruvate is now converted into glycerate or glyceric acid. Glycerate or glyceric acid. Here NADH is utilized. So this NADH, if it is utilized, it is a reduction reaction. Hydroxypyruvate is getting reduced. So let us see what is the name of the reaction and the name of the enzyme. So name of the reaction, it is a reduction reaction. It is a reduction reaction and enzyme is pyruvate reductase. Enzyme is called pyruvate reductase. So that is the seventh reaction in peroxisome where there is a formation of glycerate or glyceric acid. Now this glyceric acid is now shifted to, it is transported to back to chloroplast. It comes back to chloroplast. So in chloroplast, by utilizing ATP, it is now converted to phosphoglyceric acid. It is now converted to phosphoglyceric acid. And this reaction, ATP is utilized. So eighth reaction, we can name it as, since there is addition of phosphate, we can call it as a phosphorylation reaction. Phosphorylation reaction, that is eighth reaction. And glycerate kinase, the enzyme is called glycerate kinase. So after eighth reaction, we find phosphoglyceric acid is formed again, and two phosphoglyceric acid which are formed, and last another phosphoglyceric acid. These three will now undergo PCR cycle finally to form again, regenerate RUBP. So in this whole process, we find there is a loss of photosynthetic yield. So let us see how much of photosynthetic yield is lost due to photorespiration. So in the first reaction, if we observe the first reaction, we can say two molecules of RUBP with oxygen, it is forming 2-PGA and 2-phosphoglycolate. Suppose instead of oxygen, if there is carbon dioxide, it would form 4-PGA. It would form 4-PGA. For this, you have to refer to carboxylation reaction of Calvin cycle. So 2 RUBP would form 4-PGA. There we discussed 6 RUBP will form 12-PGA in Calvin cycle. So based on that, we can say 2 RUBP should form 4-PGA. But here it is forming only 2-PGA. So initially the loss is 50%. Initially the loss is 50% loss of carbon. Then later when phosphoglycolate is undergoing all set of reactions, finally it is releasing another PGA. That means altogether 3 PGA are formed. 1 PGA is recovered. So 3 are formed. So at the end we can say the loss is reduced to 25%. Loss is reduced to 25%. So that means it should be 3:1 ratio. 3 for carbon fixation and 1 for photorespiration. So 3:1 ratio we find carbon fixation and photorespiration will take place. This is how photorespiration is considered to be a wasteful process in case of C3 plants. So this is what we have discussed up to photorespiration. I think this we completed about photorespiration. So here I conclude my session, children. I hope it is very clear. I have written a detailed notes, and in this way I wanted to explain in this way because you can also refer to that and you can keep writing it. And this kind of explanation, especially if it is lengthy and if pathway is very complicated, if we write on the paper, it will be very easy for you children to go through it, because you can go back to the video, you can play back the video once again and then look into that complete, and then you should write it. I hope this is very useful to you. I definitely welcome your feedback also, and at the same time share to your friends and ask them to subscribe. The only aim is all of you should get benefited, especially in this time where many of you are not able to attend the college regularly. So we don't know till the college reopens, you have to stay at home. So this is the way how you can learn it. Will be very useful. These sessions will be useful for the children, those who are present 12th class, those are writing 12th class board exam, those are writing NEET exam, and also the long-term students, repeaters, those who want to repeat and write the NEET exam next year 2021. So all this will be very useful, children. So listen to it carefully, note it down properly, and then any doubts, anything, you can definitely keep it in the comment box. So next time when I do, I'll give you my email ID directly so that you can send to me any doubts personally also. So thank you very much, children. I conclude my session here. Have a good day, keep a good health and keep studying. Thank you very much.